So speaking of sports,
Yes.
so a month or so ago when I got conned into this job, no one had consulted me about a Mavericks trade. And so I thought we would go on and unpack that.
Sure.
Jump on that issue first. So what was going through your mind? How did you frame a decision of such magnitude like this?
So tough decisions are never easy. And part of leadership is looking at risk and looking at all the factors of a decision and being willing to act at that time and look to the long term and not only think about the short term or how it may be received immediately, but to think about the long-term benefits and what it may allow you to achieve if given all the right considerations. And I think for us, going into the trade deadline last year, we were not competitive. If you recall, we were not a playoff-bound team. And we were able to do some things to reconstruct the roster and enable the team to become very competitive. And after the trade deadline last year, we actually had the best record in basketball, which was a big accomplishment. And we got to the championship games, and we didn't win. And so we had to decide, how do we get better? What can we do to improve our team? And so we looked at our trajectory during the season and realized that we did not get better. But the teams that we competed against, some of which we beat, did get better. And ultimately, when you look at the Eastern Conference, after we were to get through the Western Conference, if we're so fortunate, you would have to beat some very formidable teams, including one that we lost to, which actually got better. So this was a decision about the future. If you look at our roster today and who we have, we feel like we position ourselves to be incredibly competitive against the best teams in the NBA. And if you're a fan of basketball, I'll just throw that out there, you have Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, and either Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively as your starting five. That's going to put fear into a lot of teams in the league if we can get going.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Right? And so the objective was, how do we create a roster for the future that allows us to be the most competitive team? I've said it all along. I don't know if you heard what I said when we actually bought the team from Mark, but we want to win championships. We want to be a winning franchise for the city of Dallas, and we want to be one of character, one of community involvement, and one where we sort of carry on the legacy of the Dallas Mavericks in the right way. You know, when you look at what Mark did, what Ross did, I mean, everyone who's been involved in the team has done great things for the city of Dallas. And we feel an obligation to continue that stewardship. So we were really looking to the future.
I really hope everybody in the room appreciates this part of the conversation, because in addition to hearing how Patrick and the leadership of the Mavericks processed this really tough decision, you're going to get an update on that, but you're also getting inside someone's head about making tough decisions. And that should really resonate with everybody in the room. And what you've already heard Patrick say is they asked themselves some really tough questions about how they were lining up for the future and their chances of being successful in the future. And then Patrick and I have talked about this before, but then they had to really listen to the answers to the tough questions and make decisions based upon that. And whether you like the Luka trade or you don't like the Luka trade, or you don't really know what you're talking about the Luka trade, you've got to really be able to appreciate what's going on in this, and you should hit hard on what this trade was not about.
So a few things. I think the important thing is Luka's a phenomenal player. He's a generational talent, and this was hard. It was emotional. It was emotional for my family. It was emotional for the people in Dallas. I heard from the fans. I respect their voices. I listened. We know that this wasn't easy. If we lost any of our fans' trust, it was hard, and I apologize. But I hope over time we can regain that trust through hard work, and that's our plan. And hopefully people will believe in the long run that what we did was the right decision. Time will tell. I will tell you, it was funny. I got people saying, "Are you moving the team to Vegas?" So this is a real estate group. So we sold the Venetian Las Vegas a couple years ago. It was the largest single asset sale of all time. It was a $6.25 billion single asset trade. It was split into an OpCo-PropCo, and that was really a feature of the financing market at the time. So the most efficient form of financing was actually through Vici, which is a REIT that came out of the Caesars bankruptcy, if you're familiar with that. They're the largest landowner in Las Vegas, and they viewed the real estate portion of the Venetian as prime asset. And so they gave a very favorable financing package to Apollo, who bought the operating company. So combined total proceeds was $6.25 billion. So we exited Las Vegas. We have our corporate office there. We have some research facilities there. We have some operational facilities there that we use as a test bed for certain of our operations. But we have no customer-facing operations in Las Vegas today. Our goal is to invest in Dallas. Our goal is to invest in North Texas. That was our plan from the beginning, and that's actually how we came to the Mavericks. The reason why I'm here today is because I've known Mark Cuban for a long time. He's a dear family friend. I love Mark. And we started talking about the opportunity to invest in North Texas. And as we started that discussion, we began to talk about the value of destination resorts, how it brings a new industry to Texas, and we can talk about that in a bit. But the idea was, as part of this, we would build a multitude of amenities to drive both business and leisure tourism, and one of those amenities would be an arena. We actually operate for-profit arenas today. So I'm familiar with the business, and I started speaking with Mark about his view on arenas and what it could mean for North Texas. And that ultimately evolved into the discussion and then where we got to today. So, from my standpoint, our desire is to invest in North Texas, create an unbelievable home for the future of the Mavericks, and invest here in scale in our family's other business, which is destination resorts. The idea of moving to Vegas makes no sense to me. It's actually completely opposite of what we're attempting to do, as so evidenced by our actions. And so, no, the team is never moving to Las Vegas. We bought the Dallas Mavericks. It's going to stay the Dallas.
You might add, that's what we all want to hear. And you might add, you had years to look for a team for Vegas.
Oh yeah, we were looking at NBA teams for more than 12 years. Every NBA team that was for sale that you're aware of and you may have not been aware of, we looked at. But we had to find a city that made sense for us as a family. Operating a team is very much a family activity. I share this with my wife, our kids, our relatives, my mother-in-law. Basketball is something that brings people together. And so we enjoy it as a family. And so for us, we want to be involved in the community here. This is a community asset. As I said before, we're stewards of the Mavericks, and it's a Dallas team, and we want to be here. That's why this happens. So the other thing that people say is, salary cap. I have to tell you something. It was not about the contract. The way the NBA works, there's a salary cap, and it's just a percentage of the cap. So if I could sign 3 max players, I'd do it. It's just a percentage of risk allocation within the team's overall cost structure. So I don't know if anyone from the team hears me, but if you can find us 3 max players, let's go.
Tomorrow.
Let's go. So that's sort of the things that people have been sort of saying about what occurred over the last couple of weeks. But it's really just about improving the team for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty natural response from people who are just searching for something because emotion. And you mentioned earlier another great nugget for the room. You had to take your emotion out of this trade. You're close with Luka. Your family knows Luka. And you did the right thing for long-term results. You took your emotion out for long-term results, and I think we can all appreciate that. And we certainly want the team to get better, and so this is really good for everybody. So what else would you want to say to just kind of put a peg in, and to anything else on the Luka deal? We've talked about Dirk a little bit earlier. Is another great.
Yeah, I think we did talk a little bit about Dirk. I think the one thing that I would say is Dirk was very important to the community because of his character, because of his work ethic, and because of his commitment to the city of Dallas. And there's a lot there that we can learn from and that I learn from and that I observe. And he's an iconic person, but he's still here with us. And he's going to contribute to the Dallas Mavericks, and he's someone that sort of embodies the spirit of the team. And it's great to have him around, and it's someone that I look to for an example for what sort of the optimum outcome could be. He won a championship, right? He's a champion.